Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, friends. And I'm firstly very grateful to Logistics Insiders for making me part of this initiative where we are choosing optimism today, especially in these challenging situations. Uh, and I would like to cover a few things, and hopefully these can help all of us, spread some optimism, some hope, and some cheer, of course, in these times. The COVID-19 pandemic has, sent shockwaves to the well-established global supply chains and various industries, and it is directly affecting the shipping and logistics companies in India. The recent outbreak of the second wave, the situation has been rapidly changing, and we keep getting new challenges and new opportunities as logistics professionals being thrown at us all the time. Throughout the last couple of years, and especially last year, as an industry, as a community, we have been pushed to respond, to stay agile, to keep learning, to be innovative, keep adapting, just to keep our business operations running. The new crisis is different in some ways, but we all have, rich experience from the last 1 year under our belt, and that's definitely going to help us, overcome some of these challenges in a much better way. So what have we seen so far in the last year or so, right? Starting with the supply shock from China, in 2020 the staggered lockdowns across the world, and then we saw demand falling off a cliff completely. In India, we saw some of the most stringent lockdowns that we had seen, and it was extremely difficult even keeping operations running. We had all sorts of issues with seafarers stranded on ships, etc. A lot of our seafarers in India, having to face these challenges and being on sea for extended durations of time. Despite that, we found a way to somehow keep the operations running and overcome such difficult operating circumstances. Next, we saw the easing of the lockdowns, and people start finding new ways of working. The boom of e-commerce, new models like curbside pickup, drop shipping, new buzzwords, and suddenly we saw demand actually bouncing back. Especially all the governments shops globally. We saw the demand for goods post lockdown, especially in categories like foodstuff, furniture, electronics. Mainly driven from people working from home. And in the US, if you see year on year, the demand has actually gone up significantly, and the global supply chains were not really capable of handling this kind of significant increase in demand in a short span. And we've seen uh, the demand outstripping supply for a couple of quarters now. And this has been, of course, very very challenging. Specifically in India, we've seen the exports really taking off in the last quarter, and then also in the first quarter of 2021. But the imports were actually lagging compared to the exports, and that of course led to lots of shortage of empty containers. So exporters wanting to export, but not having it. Same challenges for shipping companies, logistics players, and this has been something that, despite all these things as well, we can see that in quarter one and in April, we've seen some record export numbers from India. So we have to be resilient, and we've got to continuously, continue to efficiently manage the dynamic demand, even beyond the, capacity, and it continues even today, right, where the demand is, whether it's on ocean or on air, it's significantly higher than what we have available as capacity. And we were just getting a little comfortable, and in March and April, hoping that we've conquered this, and then suddenly we've got this new pandemic, and we've got caseload more than 300,000 a day, and it's putting our entire medical infrastructure under tremendous pressure. The new wave is a little different from the previous wave, right? And one is, of course, what we see is most Indian companies have learned from the past, and they've also planned actively this time to build on some level of business continuity. We also see a lot of grit in our exporters, in our Indian companies, where they've are they preparing, and they're showing resilience to continue to coexist with COVID, continue to keep operations going. We've also seen governments much better prepared, and they've taken active steps to keep the supply chains moving this time, learning from last year. And then, of course, technology acceptance of digital platforms has gone up exponentially. And that's also adding efficiency and allowing people models to work in these situations. Lastly, there's of course demand continues to be strong in the Western economy, which is different this year compared to what we saw last year, where the demand had actually broken down, and this time it's kind of different. And we also have a lot more hope, especially with the vaccination around the corner. So it's not as gloomy as it was last year. So as a business and from an industry perspective, we still don't see the demand, for exports, imports slowing down the way it did last year. We have, of course, some specific industries, especially where, oxygen is a key raw material or key enabler for them to operate. We see those industries having, of course, production challenges. But apart from that, we still see significantly solid demand in the Indian market. The challenge this time is more, humanitarian, and it's about how do you keep your business ongoing when you have employees who are sick, you have their family members who are sick, you've got negative news all around, a low morale, and that of course, takes a toll on each one of us, especially when you have family members, you have loved ones uh, who are sick. So it's kind of you know very different in that sense. It's more humanitarian. It's more closer to us this time. And as we get into May, June, what we expect is, of course, the rate of infections in some of the current hotspots might slow down. But we also see other parts of of India getting affected. As we've seen in the past, we do see in these kind of situations pressure on the ports, airports, logistics mechanisms, warehouses, etc., to cope with these kind of crises, because of course you have got lots of relief goods coming in. Uh, our first priority as a nation, of course, is to respond to the ongoing crisis, especially related to the oxygen shortages and getting the medical supplies, etc., to the right places, especially the states that are grappling with the crisis. And we've seen many Indian corporates like Reliance, Adani, Tata, Jindal. We've seen PSUs like Indian Railways swinging into action. We also see lots of MNCs, everyone's so active in India, taking an active role here. Uh, One of the key challenges today is the transportation of the cryogenic tanks, which are needed to transport oxygen. And as Maersk, we are playing our part over here to ensure resources, to put in our expertise, to find tanks, to move them around. And I'm sure many other logistics companies are also doing the same. To help out, and I'm sure this is our first responsibility as good citizens, that we really need to make sure that whatever we can do and whatever is in our capability, we do to enable the oxygen logistics, so to say, better in this country. Next, of course, we've got to keep the supply lines going, so that we don't really create shortage of essential goods in the country. And for that, there are some learnings from last time, and one of the biggest learnings for us is that we really need to work together as a community. It's not the time to take advantage of the bottlenecks of each other's inefficiencies. It's not the time to, uh, you know, it's rather the time to help each other. Find ways and of making things work. Understanding each other. This is one of the big lessons from last year. And as Maersk, we're actively taking significant steps to make sure that our infrastructure doesn't go down. We have the equipment in the right places. We are able to enable the flow of goods, enable delivery of essentials, etc., and also be empathetic to our communities, especially when things are going wrong. For our customers, we continue to try to offer solutions that enable them to de-risk their business. Move cargo from road, especially with the drivers now getting shortage and becoming difficult. Moving into rail. reduce the pressure, on the road. Also find ways to help customers slow down their supply chains. Offering them warehousing storage solutions in India, also outside India, so that we can sort of match the demand supply balance in these cases. So one key takeaway for us is that there is these kind of unforeseen disruptions, etc. You can't see it. There's no clear SOP, clear processing. Okay, this is what you should do. This is what the playbook is. And no matter how much you plan, it's kind of difficult to get it right. So in this sort of face of these kind of issues, then the only thing we can do is how do we be more agile, more flexible in our ways of operating. And so we've also as Maersk in this journey, sort of partners with our customers, partnered with various technology companies, and we trying to offer these solutions, whether it is visibility, remote visibility, online electronic bills of lading, self-service, on the website, payment solutions, and then of course onboarding as many customers onto these solutions. And e-commerce is a big enabler for us, and I'm sure for many more logistics players. But this is definitely a learning from last year that digital is here to stay, and whatever we can do, we really need to push the agenda on those frontiers. The other thing is also about looking at our, internal customers. How do you look at our employees and our vendors? One of the things is about, making the employees feel recognized, giving them, empowering them, upskilling them, reskilling them in the digital world. But also equally important, how do you help them cope with these kind of situations? Especially with building, using mindfulness to sort of build resilience, to build mental agility, help them focus and bring out their creativity. So an engaged workforce is essential, and empowered workforce who can actually take decisions, and this definitely helps in moving fast, in finding solutions on ground. Uh, but above all, even more than that, important is the health and safety of our employees. At Maersk, we've tied up with various partners, to help our with our employee well-being, to offer support during COVID, counseling lines for their families, and their dependents, and we're trying our best. The situation still is overwhelming, and in many cases, we're not able to actually meet 100% of what comes up as situations, but we have a responsibility, and we've seen some good response or benefits from our employees who acknowledge the effort the organizations put in. Also, they reciprocate it, and that of course comes up back into your business as well. So the new normal is about being flexible, being supportive towards customers, towards colleagues, and to help build a stronger trade ecosystem. And while we harmonize our efforts to sort of keeping the business afloat, keeping our teams engaged and customers happy, one of the things that we should never forget is the frontliners, in the supply chains, and these are the truck drivers, these are the warehouse laborers, these are the CHA staff, who are on the field, and they are the ones who are actually working, in these challenging times to make sure that supply chains, that there's no cog in wheels. They are able to, so what can we do to make their working environment safe? And how do we empathize with them, help them cope? How do we, share this optimism with them? And I think this is one of the most important responsibilities for us as a community. How do we extend amenities to these people in our facilities, in our factories? Especially drivers who've come with long haul journeys, transport at odd hours. How do you make sure that we keep them safe? We break their shifts. Offer testing, offer medical support in case they're sick. And this is where I think as a community, we all need to step up, both as logistics professionals, but also as exporters and importers. We really need to make sure that we balance productivity and business with safety and with the health of these people, because they are the very core of keeping everything going. So, to summarize, when asked, how do we stay optimistic and incite in others as well? So it's basically we go down to basics, humanity, being good to one another, being respectful, and being humble. That's what I would say. We've done this before last year. We have many learnings as a logistics industry, and we've come through some tough times. So I'm pretty sure that we will be able to make it through this as well. I would like to thank Logistics Insider for this opportunity, for allowing me to speak here on this platform. And I wish all of you lots of good health. Stay safe.